Earlier today, I was browsing through Twitter or X, and I happened to notice this post from CultureCrave that's talking about George R.R. Martin apparently taking a break from not writing Winds of Winter to write a blog post in that he basically tried to attack what he called toxicity in fandoms and basically saying how people these days are just looking to hate on material and TV shows and movies and books and other things like that. And while I do think there is a nugget of truth to some of the stuff he's saying, for the most part, it is just a load of crap. And I think it does come across as just someone who's bitter about the fact that people didn't like the ending to his show. But let's look at what he actually had to say and kind of dissect it a little bit. Toxicity is growing. It used to be fun talking about our favorite books and films and having spirited debates with fans who saw things different. I actually think that's still a fun thing and a good part of fandoms, but whatever. If he doesn't think that's the case anymore, he's free to have that opinion. But it is no longer enough to say, I don't like this book or this film, and here's why. People would rather talk about the stuff they hate than the stuff they love and delight in dancing on the graves of anyone whose film has flopped. I don't think that's actually true. And now I know it could actually seem that way because with the way social media is and the way the internet is, it does give the impression that there's more negative, but that's not really the case. There's still a lot more positivity out there. The only difference though is people just seem to actually notice the negative stuff about it. And that's even fans of something. They seem to only notice when someone is actually saying something negative about the piece of material that they love. I really think this just comes from the fact that a lot of people didn't like the last season of Game of Thrones. And that's why he's saying that people just wanted to hate it. Because you can actually look at season 1 through 8. It was all really positive until you get to season 8. And that really just has to do with the fact that people just weren't satisfied with the way the ending was. And if he's going to say people were just looking to intentionally hate on the ending, then why did House of the Dragons do so well? Yeah, it didn't actually do as well as the early seasons of Game of Thrones, but I mean, it's just getting restarted and it is a little bit different. Personally, I think this was up there with some of the better seasons of Game of Thrones because it focuses more on the characters and the political aspect of it, the whole Game of Thrones part. And the early seasons of Game of Thrones had that element front and center. And that's what I like about House of the Dragon is it has more of that going on there. But again, back to my point though, if people were just looking to actually hate on him, then this would have actually been terrible too. And I'm sure there were people who are coming out there to try to hate on this from the get-go because when this was first announced, I really wasn't expecting much from it. I didn't even watch the first few episodes of House of the Dragon, and then I started hearing good word of mouth. So I was like, okay, I guess I'll check it out. And I was blown away, and I'm looking forward to the second season. And that's not really the case if people are just looking to hate on something. I think a lot of the problem just has to do with a lot of movies and TV shows aren't nearly as good as what they used to be. And I know some people would say like, well, everyone always says that. It's like back in my day, things were better, but I truly believe we used to have better quality of movies and TV shows. And I think studios have kind of drifted away from that because they almost felt like they were entitled to fans coming back. And I don't believe that they actually are entitled to fans or the money that we give them to actually produce this stuff. I think they have to earn our business with each individual thing that they do. And they really haven't been doing that lately. And a lot of people are voicing their opinions on that. Like we got Disney CEO Bob Iger saying that they want to improve Disney's quality by reducing content. In other words, they want to start focusing on the quality over quantity because once Disney Plus came about, they were just trying to flood their platform with as much content as possible. And by doing that, you're obviously going to reduce the quality of it. Now, keep in mind, this is from March 10th of 2023, and he said this several other times since then. And so far, the only reduction in content that we've actually seen coming out of Disney is just the fact that things have gotten delayed because of the strikes last year. So there's really no telling that they're actually going to be doing this, but that's what he's saying. And this isn't just a Disney problem either. Other companies are doing the same thing because Netflix, according to this, Netflix is actually one of the more successful streaming platforms, and it says they're betting on quality over quantity. Netflix has been better than a lot of other companies, but still they're guilty of this too, where they're just trying to put as much stuff onto their platform as possible and just greenlighting a bunch of movies, throwing a bunch of money at it. And it just hasn't been landing. And I think they're starting to understand, this is from November 7th of last year, that, yeah, they're understanding too, that we can't just start basically greenlighting everything. We need to be a little bit more selective on what we're putting out there because you can't spend $100, $200 million on movies for your streaming platform and it doesn't actually succeed. And we saw this a lot in the box office this last year. Only one 2023 movie with a budget over $200 million has made a profit so far this year. This was from November of last year. So I think the only other $200+ million movie that came out was Aquaman since this article was written. And that movie is also a flop too. I just did a video about how that movie lost money as well. So pretty much every movie that cost over $200 million to produce lost money at the box office besides Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. And even then, the success of that was just pretty marginal. You're probably watching this and thinking, this isn't what George R.R. Martin's talking about. He's talking about all those ists and phobes attacking movies and TV shows and stuff like that for no reason. He's not talking about movies that just failed at the box office because the studio spent too much money on them or just threw away a bunch of money on something that wasn't going to make it back. And my only question is, who's actually starting to hate to begin with? Serious question, because do people just decide like, okay, this is the movie that we're going to hate on now. So everyone in agreement, we're going to hate on this project now, right? Okay. Yeah. Okay. At our secret ists and phobes meeting, it is adjourned now. We are going to hate on this next movie that's coming out, where some movies don't get the same hate. So why is that? And I think we know why, because we got this article right here that's talking about the term fan baiting. And for people who don't know what the term fan baiting is, here's a little description of it. Fan baiting is a form of marketing used by producers and film studios with the intent of creating fake controversy, garnering publicity, and explaining the negative reviews of a movie or TV show. In other words, you get the people like the directors, the writers, the producers, the actors, and stuff like this. They're the ones who are causing all this hate, because if they don't do certain things, they don't do this fan baiting stuff, then people won't come at them, but they initiate this and then try to play victim. And for a while, this did kind of work, and that's why they kept it up for some time, but it's just not working anymore. So they have to find another approach if they actually want to make something successful. And the thing is, we actually have examples of what they can do if they want to be successful. It's just a matter of whether they're actually going to do it or not. Like, look at right here. One Piece is the example that they need to follow, and this had all the makings of something that was going to be a huge flop. I mean, because you got that meme for a reason. It's the manga, anime, Netflix adaptation, because it became a joke that Netflix always just ruined any anime adaptation that they tried to do. In fact, this was the same studio that did Cowboy Bebop, but instead of just attacking the fans, what they said is like, hey, let's look at their criticism and listen to what they have to say and then try to do better this time. And then when they made One Piece, it's like, wow, this was actually a good show. And I was really surprised by this, and pleasantly surprised at that, because I wouldn't say I'm a huge super fan of One Piece, but I do watch the anime and I do enjoy the anime. I wasn't expecting much of this one. You can go back on my channel and see early videos talking about One Piece where I thought this was going to be another failure for Netflix, but come to find out, I was pleasantly surprised. This show was actually really good, and I'm glad that they're making another season of it. And that's what a lot of these movies and TV shows need to do, is you need to respect the fans and actually do something that the fans want. If people don't like what you have to do, then don't just start criticizing them and just calling them names and other things like that, or don't try to do fan baiting in the future. Listen to what people have to say and be like, okay, how can we make it better in the future? Because it's no wonder that as social media started increasing and people started hearing from directors and writers and actors personally, that all this fan hate started coming about. So if you're going to say it started with the fans, no, because then it would have happened a long time ago. It started with the people working on these things, and if they want to end it, then it's up to them to end it.